So to use the miter box saw, you have to let the blade down. There's a couple levers here on the top that you need to carefully lift up. So you want to hold on to the saw while you do that, and lift up these levers. You don't want the saw to drop. If you just lift them up without holding onto the saw would drop, and it's not good for the saw or for your work or anybody's fingers that would happen to be down there. So another type of miter box saw is not the levers on top, but there's a couple springs, levers right here on the side. You have to gently pull out to lower the saw. Same thing, you want to hold on to the saw and gently lower those. You don't want to come up, pull those out and let the saw drop. Again, not good for the work, for the saw, or for anybody's fingers that happen to be down there. Now on this last type of miter box, there is no hold up at all. You just have to raise and lower it. By hand, don't raise it too high or you're going to pull it completely off. And then we got to put it back on. All you need to do is raise it high enough to put your work under there where you've marked it. And same thing, then you can go ahead and start sawing, which I'll get to in the next part. So to use the saw, after you've marked, let's just say I've marked a piece of wood where I want to cut with a square and a line. I would place the saw on that mark, and you can hold it with I'm right-handed, so I hold it with my left hand. As you see here on the other side, let me lift the saw up so you can see. Basically, I'm holding it like this. Using my thumb, I can grip it like that. If your hand's too small, you can just kind of push it like that. Or you can even take a clamp and use a clamp to clamp it. Basically what we're doing is we're holding the work against the fence right here. Just holding it right against there. If you don't hold it against there, the work's going to move back and forth like this. So if I didn't have a clamp, I loosen these to lower it. When I go to saw, the work's going to move. So I need to push it, hold it against the fence. If you're left-handed, you switch like this. Use your left hand to saw. I'm just pushing, holding the work against the fence. In this case, I'm just going to clamp it. And you can use both hands right here. And the main thing is trying to keep the saw nice and level. Like that. You don't want to tilt it up or down like that. Try and keep it nice and level. That's just you looking at it. And sometimes it's hard to tell. Like I might be, if you're doing this, it's fairly level. But what's going to happen is I'm going to eventually cut through the back. Or if I had it like this, I'd cut through the slightly level. Or, excuse me, slightly unlevel. I would end up cutting through the front of the back before I was done. And so you want to keep it nice and level. Now, if you notice I'm hitting that, I want to just back up maybe like a couple inches. And you want just the weight of the saw to do the work. I'm not pushing down on it. If I push down on it, it makes it almost impossible to push. And I'm just letting the weight of the saw do the work. And I just cut right through just now. The other thing you want to do is make sure you're moving it straight back and forth. You don't want to be twisting from side to side like this. Just nice and smooth. Take your time. Smooth is the quickest way to do it because slow is smooth and then smooth is fast. Take your time till you get a hang of what you're doing. One other thing I'll mention is you want to cut all the way through. Don't get impatient and then just break the piece off when you're close, because it'll start to bend a little bit. If you do that, you're going to probably ruin both pieces of wood, and the piece that you're cutting and the piece that is the extra. So you want to make sure you cut all the way through. And that's the basics of the Mighty Box saw.